Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about the transit Sun conjunct one's natal Venus. Now, we're talking about transits of the Sun astrology. It involves our focus, our attention, our concentration of energy, where we're putting our attention on. And since we're talking about Venus, this could be a lot of this focus, this attention, concentration of energy can be put on, could be on love, on relationships, romance. If this is in Gemini, it might be a superficial love romantic relationship. It might be a situation that maybe you're, like that song goes, torn between two lovers. It could also be a time where we put a lot of our emphasis on values as well. And I mean, if you have this in Taurus as an example, it could be matters with persistence, perseverance, patience, matters pertaining to money, generating income. It's also, I mean, the fact that if you're experiencing this transit, the attention can be put on money anyway in general, because of course Venus is associated with money. You might put a lot of attention on this, and whether it might be doing some reevaluation of reassessment of your financial monetary situation. Are you making what you want this time? Are you being generous enough with your money? Are you making too little? Just things of that nature at this time. But this could be putting a lot of creative energy into making money at this time as well. And the thing about this too, Venus is also about our self-worth. There could be a lot of focus put on that right now, our self-worth, our self-esteem, how we feel about ourselves. If you have this in Capricorn as an example, it could have to do your self-esteem issues. It might be tied in with your reputation, with your career, your stature in life. Also, too, this is about our possessions as well. Venus can be about our possessions, the things we own. So this could be about what we have, the things that we purchase for ourselves. Do we have enough possessions? How do we compare to other people? Are we putting too much emphasis on possessions at this time? Materialism. Now, also Venus is about peace. So if you're in a situation where say your home situation might be somewhat acerbic or contentious or combative. For example, you have this in the fourth house. This could be a time where you might be reevaluating that. And this is a time to focus on, do you have enough peace in your life? Do you have enough tranquility? And also, too, keep in mind that Venus can also be about art. So it can be a time where you might put a lot of that concentration of energy into things like artistic endeavors at this time. There might be a lot of creative juices that you're injecting into, such as painting, drawing, sculpting, anything that could be artistic. And keep in mind, too, as far as anatomically speaking, Venus is associated with the throat, the neck, the thyroid. It's the lower back as well. It's the kidneys. Would say as well. This is something where, I mean, at this time it could shine the light on maybe an issue with one or more of those things. And Venus is also about the food that we love to indulge in. So it might be a time where you might be looking at this and saying, well, am I focusing too much on indulging in food that I really want to indulge in, and that maybe it's not necessarily healthy? And Venus is also about that sensual or feminine side of sex. And this is something too where we might be putting a lot of emphasis on that at this time. And also it's about, Venus is being about love. Say if you have this retrograde, Venus is retrograde in your natal chart, it might be more about self-love as opposed to the outer expression of loving others at this time. And it might be a time where you put a lot of focus, attention, and concentration of energy in that. So also too, this is also a time where you look at this and I mean, as an example, let's say that you have, I mean, this is art. Venus can be associated with art. So let's say, and the sun is about our creative energy. So let's say you're having this transit in Pisces. It could manifest in putting a lot of creative energy into perhaps abstract art or fantastical art. It could be drawing fictional characters. It could be superheroes. This could be that time where you might really feel like doing such. And this could be a time too. Keep in mind that the sun is associated with the biological father and children. So this is a time too, if they haven't done this in recent time, that the biological father and or child may cause you to maybe express some sentiments and feelings more so than usual, or bring more enjoyment into your life, or even figure more prominently in some money-making endeavor more so than usual. Now, the thing about this too, the Venus can also be associated with the voice, and it could be about singing. If you're somebody that is, an aspiring, I guess you could say as a singer, and you're a person that's had certain auditions, this could be a time where maybe you have you're thrust more into the spotlight. This could be a very opportune time to either maybe have be involved in some audition for singing, or you might get some notoriety, attention, and recognition for doing so at this time, and it could be very auspicious for singing. I make a joke with this, say if it's an Aquarius, maybe it's a good time for voice recognition software development, but I'm being flippant, of course, with that. But anyway, now the sun is also about what drives and motivates us. So you might be more driven and motivated to make money more so than usual at this time. And if you're a person that really, is not so much about money and not about materialism, you might surprise some people at this time, because there might be more of that need to actually do it. It might not necessarily be for yourself, but there may be something that is motivating you and driving you to do this more so than usual at this time. Now, another thing that we got to remember, we have a transit Sun conjunct one's natal Venus, that it's important to guard against vanity and being in superficial looks. Say especially like if you have this in Gemini, this is something where really it could also be a time too where it might be very advantageous for sociability, being more gregarious, ingratiating yourself more so with others more so than usual at this time. It's interesting. This is about, you've heard the expression when the sun comes out, where what could happen is you could actually come out and be around a place where people congregate more. If you've got a chart, say like mine, that's very introverted, introspective, your preponderance of planets on the bottom half of your chart, the majority of your major astrological influences and feminine signs, you could be a person that might be very exceptionally introverted. I even have Saturn at 12th house, which could be downright reclusive. But if you have a chart and you're somebody, chart that's very introverted and you stay to yourself, you're very insular, this could be a time where you might surprise some people and become, Mr. and Mrs. Sociability, and start getting yourself out there a little bit more. Transit doesn't really last that long. If you're looking at, say, if you were looking at the sun's transit to conjoining Venus, you're going by 3 degrees applying 3 degrees applying, 2 degrees separating. That's like about 5 days. That's all it's going to last. But the thing about it is, it could also, we're talking about people in your life. Relationships may suit your ego needs more so than usual. Excuse me. And also it could shine the light, so to speak, on a lost possession or item. Say if this is in Pisces, it could be some pharmaceutical item as an example, or some camera or photograph. Depending, a lot of it can be dependent on predicated on the sign that it's in. If it's an Aquarius, it might be electronic or computer item. Sagittarius, a sports related item. Hold on a moment, people. And whether this is actually, I mean, whether these things that I've described, if they go more smoothly, or whether there's some, obstruction, or there's some limitation or what have you in attaining these things that I've been describing in the video, a lot of that could be predicated and dependent on aspects that the sun is making to other points in your chart. I mean, excuse me, a sextile trine your natal Jupiter, it can be more auspicious, more fortuitous. But let's say, and maybe even there might be some prosperity in some things I've been describing, but let's say it makes an adverse aspect to your natal Saturn, it might go the other way, and it might be a little bit more, or just a lot more laborious effort in terms of attaining things that I've been talking about in the video. But anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment. Until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.